Everyone, this is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and it is that time of year again where we are looking at my top decks. This is my 2019 top 13 tarot decks. They might be old, they might be new, but these were the decks that I went to and gravitated towards in the year of 2019. So some of the decks I've had for a long time, and some of the decks I got this year. So let's see what I've got. And the first deck I want to discuss is my lovely and prized Lunasol Tarot. Here we go. Here's the backs. And I gravitated towards this deck quite a bit in 2019. It is diverse. I love the pastel or the palette, the color palette to this deck. I found it easy to work with, especially with love readings, but also general life readings and even career readings. I was able to work with it. I was even also able to use this deck for my hotline readings. So it is a deck I love going to and grabbing. And sometimes I used it for decks for myself, but primarily it was used for client readings. So yes, I really, really enjoy this deck, and I have a feeling I will be using it in 2020 and beyond. It is that deck that sometimes I would just use over and over again, and then other times I might put on the shelf and not be called to use it for a couple of months, and then I come back to it again. And it's like an old friend in that way. It's, you know, those certain old friends that you guys could not have spoken in forever, and then as soon as you get together, you're just like, you know, getting along famously. So that's the connection that I have with the Lunasol. Here's the Six of Swords. So yeah, it is a deck that I really enjoyed in 2019, and I probably will enjoy in 2020. The next deck I want to discuss is the Spirit Within Tarot. And this is by Stephen Bright. It is a red feather tarot deck. And I owned this for a while. Let's see, does it say when it was released? 2017. Adore this deck. I use this deck typically for my New Year's tarot readings. And I tend to forget about this deck because I use it towards the end of the year, so I don't always talk about it like in favorites videos because I forget that I have it. But I always have been going to it since I brought it into my collection. I use it for my own, here's the backs, I use it for my own yearly readings that I do for myself, and I use it for client readings. And I have a quite, in-depth yearly reading spread that I do. And this is just, I use this as just a part of that spread. But I love this deck. I love the modern aspects to it. I'm not a fan of the glossy cards, but I do like the size of the deck, and I appreciate that it's borderless, and I love the energy of it. I love the guidebook. Here's the guidebook, and look, it's even got, bent my page. It's even got color depictions of the cards. There's the Page of Cups. I really enjoy this deck. You know, you can use it for a diverse clientele with this, in it, accurate readings. Easy, like it's a great deck for beginners. It's a great deck for seasoned readers. And I have a feeling I'm going to continue using it in, here's the Tower, in the new year. So yeah, that is the Spirit Within Tarot. It is one of my unsung hero decks that I have that I forget to talk about because it's, you know, I use it as for a specific reading, for a specific purpose. And it's like, I don't see it until once, you know, till the end of the year. I dropped my guidebook. Let's see if I can grab it. Oh, got it. Okay, so, sorry, I didn't want to move me around too much. The next deck is also another oldie, but you should be able to get this deck as well. It is mass market, as is the Spirit Within Tarot. The Lunasol, I'm not sure if it's out of print or not. I don't know. And my apologies for that. But the Vision Quest is an AGM Urania deck. Here's the guidebook that I've badly abused. I need to put this away so I don't ruin it even further, so I don't really need it. But here is the backs. This is the Vision Quest. This is another deck that I use for specific readings that I do for clients. And I love this deck. I love working with it. I find it easy to work with. Now, for those who are new to tarot, you may find it a bit challenging to work with because it's, you know, it's a more Thoth-based, I think, than it is Rider-Waite. It's still, you know, Rider-Waite-esque. You have the Mother of Fire, which is traditionally the Queen of Wands, but it could be a little challenging to work with. With that being said, I think for the intermediate reader, those who are ready for something a little bit more deeper than, you know, than what they're getting with their RWS decks, this is a nice segue into pips, because it's still very, it's still illustrated and very beautiful to look at, but, and it has a beautiful voice, this tarot deck, but it's not so intimidating to start trying to work with decks that are, like, let's see, here's some of the ace, here's Four of Water, for example. You have 4 vessels, essentially. Here's, you know, Transformation is the Death card. Here's 9 of Earth, and it's got a keyword below, accumulation. So, here's some aces. Here's Ace of Water. And here is Ace of Earth. So you have that for a deck that you can have some, you know, heart-stirring, soul-searching type of readings. At least that's my experience. And I have a feeling I'll be using it in the years ahead. And I'm excited that I have decks in this particular video and the videos I plan to do, like the Oracle ones, and I have a couple of other ideas for top 2019 decks. Many of them you're able to get and add to your collection, so yay for that. So, periodically, because okay, I have to say this, I'm at my main reading table, which is not so much my main reading table anymore because I was able to move into a different room in the house to do my client readings. So I don't use this table as much because it's in the main area of the home, and it's usually really noisy and with lots of disturbances. So my apologies for any interruptions that may pop up. Okay, let's move on. Next up, we have a near and dear deck to me, and it's the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. This is the 3rd edition, and I like this box. I love this deck so much. I love it so much that I went ahead and ordered the guidebook that came out this year. Didn't need it because really it was just an expanded version of the little white book, but I also enjoyed it because the creators went into, you know, the creation of the deck and the inspiration. Like here's the inspiration to the Queen of Wands. You know, so I thought that was cool. But before that guidebook came out, it was just this deck and the little white book, and here are the backs. And I love it. I usually use this deck to read for my oldest son. For some reason, he really likes me to read with this particular deck. Here's the Death card. And I just adore this deck so much. The mood, the colors, amazing. I remember when I was looking for this deck, like I knew that out of all the Baba Studio decks, that this would be one that I would want out of all of them. You know, I know there's some other amazing decks, but this is the one I wanted. Then it became a question of which edition did I want. And I had an opportunity to get the first, you know, like the first edition, I believe, and maybe even the second, but pretty sure the first. And then I went online, and at the time, the third edition was available. And I looked at the comparison. Someone did a comparison of the first, second, and third edition. And I was like, oh, it's a no-brainer for me. I like that I could see the image. Like, the first edition was a little too dark for me. This edition was lighter, and it was at the time it was in print. And I was able to get it for a really good price. Now it's out of print, but I'm very glad I went with this choice. Yeah, it's not the first edition, and I had an opportunity to get the first edition at a somewhat decent price, but I was knowing that I was going to use this deck, and I knew that if I got a first edition, I would poo-poo it and keep it all kind of precious-like and not want to use it. Whereas this deck is third edition. Yeah, it's out of print right now. But I know that Baba Studios will probably come out with something else. Or maybe like a fourth edition. I don't know. But I knew I was going to use it. So I didn't want anything too precious that I was going to feel bad about using it. I could go on and on about this deck, you guys. I love it that much. So yeah, the Bohemian Gothic, the readings, plain speak with this, the voice of this deck, but it's a good, like, I don't always go to it to use for clients because I'm not quite sure how they feel about the aesthetic of this deck, but some of my clients specifically request that I read with it, and my son, my near and dear, he's not really a client, but my near and dear, he likes when I read with this, so it stays, and I love it. Next deck we've got is one that's new to my collection this year, and I believe you can still get it, so there's that. The Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. I backed this deck, I believe, on Kickstarter, yes, and you can now order it from its Modern Eden Gallery, which is the gallery that produces this deck. And this creator, she is from San Jose, which is near where I was born and raised in the Bay Area. And that made me partial to the deck, I'm not going to lie. Here's like the little brown book, if you will. Little booklet. Good little booklet. I love when deck creators do this. This is a certificate of authenticity, first edition tarot deck plus guidebook, and I'm number 553, published April 30th, 2019. I appreciate when a deck creator does something like this. It makes it very much like a piece of lovely art. Here's the backs. I am in love. Sorry, I'm bringing myself to the light so you can see me a little bit better, fixing the light. I'm in love with this deck. Oh my gosh. I was using it ever since I got it in my hot little hands. I would be at my daughter's swim practice, and I would be shuffling this deck. And I know people were looking at me. I didn't care. At first, the smell, because it was a new deck, and it was like, ooh, it's a little jarring, the smell. Sometimes when it's a brand new deck. But over time, I fell in love with the smell of this deck. Isn't that crazy? Fell in love with it. And just adored the energy of it. It's beautiful. It's diverse. I don't know. I love it so much. I'm so happy I have it in my collection. And I use this deck. I don't care if it's first edition. Don't care. I love it. And I use it for client readings. I use it for readings for myself. I keep it in my room, like right near my, there's like shelves near my nightstand. And it's on there. And so that's probably another reason why I used it a lot, because it was in close proximity to me. I'm just going on and on. So yeah, I won't keep going. All of these decks I've done unboxings for, so you can definitely check them out in further detail. And I have to tell you, like, I think last year someone was upset and left a comment to the effect of, I don't like these reviews, you know, of the decks you're doing. You go too fast. This is not a review per se. This is a top 13 tarot decks video. So I just want to say that. I forgot to say that at the beginning. So we alleviate any confusion about what this is. I usually do unboxing so you can get my first impressions of a deck. Sometimes I do deck reviews in the deck. I call them deck in focus videos. But it would specifically say it's a review if that were the case. That's just my disclaimer. All right, moving along. So that was the slow tarot. Next up is another one that came to my collection this year. And I was also just like, whoa, I was blown away by it. That is the This Might Hurt Tarot. OMG. Love this deck. Love, 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 love this deck. I had a great feeling about backing this deck, and I had a great feeling about backing this one on Kickstarter. I just could feel that this would be a deck that I would be happy with. This would be a deck creator who was on the up and up, super professional, super talented, and it was everything I could dream of in a Kickstarter experience. Here are the backs. Amazing. This is a deck, I'm going to just say right now, that beginners would love. They would love this deck. This would be a prize deck for a beginner, but it's also a deck that is a seasoned tarot reader. You would enjoy it too. It's just so beautiful. I chose to get the holographic edges. I think she had gold edges, but I tend to gravitate towards this versus gold. It's like matte Arcanas semi-gloss. I don't know. It's semi-gloss more so than matte. But, oh, it's super diverse. It's just such a beautiful deck to read with. I've read or used this deck for client readings. Now, when I say client readings, I'm going to tell you, 90% of my readings, let me just say this, 90% of my tarot readings that I do for others are online, virtual readings. That is what my business license allows for. Also, it allows for me to do retail kind of type readings where I'm in a retail establishment or at fairs, festivals, or like seminars or other places of business. But I'm not zoned to do readings like in my house. So I would not use this deck for like clients face-to-face, like in-person readings, because I really cherish this deck. And so I would be very cautious in using it for readings for like face-to-face or in person, because I'd be afraid somebody might hurt it. But because I do most of my readings virtually, I was okay with that, you know, with using it for client readings. I also keep this right next to the Slow Tarot, and I grab this one often as well. Very Rider-Waite-Smith friendly for those who want to know. And it's just a high quality deck. I mean, Isabella Rotman did an amazing job with this deck. The guidebook is cool. I mean, just really a nice situation. We got this box. Impressive. Impressive. So, there's that. Let's see what else. What else? Ooh, this is going to be a fun one to discuss. Okay, so we're going to discuss it. It is the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann Donnelly. And I also got, I'm going to talk about both of them together. I also got the mass produced. Did I have issues with the mass produced? There were a couple of issues. I'm going to probably ask for a replacement. We'll see. I don't know. I'm too damn busy. But I'm in love with the mass market because I babied this one so much, because it had the original Ten of Swords and now it has the replacement Ten of Swords, so it has both cards. And so I was like, oh, I don't really want to use it. Plus, it was so difficult to shuffle because the cardstock is 400 GSM, which some people adore. Look at this. But I'm kind of like, I prefer to be able to riffle shuffle. Here's this Thickum guidebook, which I sometimes would just pull out and just read just because I love Chris Ann's voice, and she's just amazing. And I don't usually consult this book when I'm doing a reading for a client, you know, but maybe when I'm doing a reading for myself, I may consult it. So that's how I've been using this particular book. And I'll just show you a few of, I mean, just so you can kind of get a feel of that gorgeousness. That's just, that's such a beautiful, amazing touch. I backed this deck on Kickstarter along with its sister deck, the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann. I love the Muse Tarot, and I'm still getting a feel for it, still getting to know it. I also poo-poo and baby it because it's a first edition Chris Ann Cadillac of Cadillacs deck. I don't know. It's just amazing. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous deck. So I don't know it as well as I know the, as I know this deck. I love this deck. I put it aside that it was a precious deck for a while and was using it, but then when the whole controversy happened about the Ten of Swords, I was like, well, I was kind of like, well, I'm just going to, I have them in order. I'm going to just put it away for a while. And then I got the mass market. And let me see. I got the mass market, and then it helped me to deepen my relationship with the deck. So I'm glad I got the mass market. And so what I'm hoping is when I get the mass market for the Muse Tarot, that I have a similar experience that I did with the Light Seers. Here's the Lovers. Show you a few. Here's the Chariot. Super diverse, gorgeous, borderless, decadent. And I have to, when I riffle shuffle, I have to riffle shuffle in little bits at a time. So I just don't riffle shuffle. Now I just leave this one in the box, I'll be honest. It's like a collector's edition for me because, again, of the situation with the let's see, here's the Ace of Cups. Here's the 2 Cups. I put them back in order for this deck. But yeah, I also just did an unboxing in comparison with this one, so you can check that out. I'm going to post that shortly if I haven't already done so. So I'm not going to go through all the cards here because I've talked about this deck ad nauseum. You can just look at Light Seers, like put it in the search for my channel, and you'll be able to find all the ones that are associated with this deck, all the videos, I should say. Okay. Next up is one that's probably going to surprise people. And yeah, it's probably going to surprise people. It is the Antique Anatomy Tarot. And I say it's going to surprise people because a lot of people were really upset about it. This is a deck by Claire Goodchild. It was originally, what can I say? Independently produced. Then it was picked up to be printed or distributed mass market by Abrams Notary. That's the name of the publisher. I'm not familiar with that publisher. And people were really hot about how thin the cards were. But despite the card thinness, I love this deck. And it surprised me how much I loved it. Look at the inside of this box situation. I mean, sturdy box, gorgeous guidebook, really nice packaging. I admit the cardstock is a little worrisome, I'll say that, because of the fact it's so thin. However, because I like to riffle shuffle, and because I'm not using this deck every day, because I have several decks to use, and I do use every day, I haven't been having a problem with them tearing or ripping or any of that. In fact, I've used this deck quite a number of times for readings for myself, readings for others. I've been using it for my Rebel Soul Tarot readings, and it's held up fine. Really and truly. I'm not saying that. And this deck I purchased. It wasn't given to me. I'm being honest with you. Here are the backs. Here's the sides. It's a very thin deck. If you compare it even to the, let me see. Let me see what I can compare it to, but you can see a difference. Here is the Lunasol. And then compare it. And you can tell the Lunasol by how worn it is. And you can see that it's quite a bit thicker. But I love this deck. And I know people were having significant issues with it. But I didn't have those issues in terms of quality of it falling apart. I remember it causing such a stink and people were getting mad at the reaction of the deck creator. And she was like, I don't know what people are talking about. It really is a good stock. Now, is it going to last for the test of time? No, it's probably not. And it also wasn't a very expensive deck either. So I take the good with the bad. And it's a pip deck that surprised me. I'm normally, my friends, my tarot friends know I usually like a illustrated deck. And not so much into pips. But this one works for me. I have the best readings with it sometimes, I tell you. And I have a feeling I'm going to be using it in the new year. I really just hit it off straight away with it. It surprised me. And then I was like, when people were like, it's awful cardstock, it's just awful. And I was like, oh, I'm bracing myself for awful. And then I was pleasantly surprised. I'm looking at the cards now. There's nothing wrong with these cards. Nothing. Nothing. And I am rough on my decks because I riffle shuffle. and I overhand, it shuffles so beautifully. Again, I don't know, maybe I had a better deck. I don't know. But I ordered it straight away when people were like, it's so thin. And then I saw somebody on YouTube shuffling it. I'm like, I think that's a deck I might enjoy. And sure enough, I was right. And I enjoyed it. And I'm still enjoying it. So, yay. Probably will use it again in my next Lunasol reading. So there's that. All right, we're making our way down. Okay, the next one is an independently produced deck, and it is the 8th House Tarot, an astrological tarot deck. And here are the backs. Very much love this deck. It was originally on Kickstarter, and then the deck creator was like, I don't feel like dealing with that. She canceled her Kickstarter and then self-produced it herself. And it's, you know, modern, collage-y. It has the holographic, what do you call it? Kind of treatment on it, which I like. For some reason, it's just something I actually really like. Sometimes I really like really modern decks, and sometimes I really like the antique anatomy. Like, I love that I have such a variety in my taste, and it makes it fun for me in my collection. This is 5 of Water. It's kind of hard to show it, and so, or to see the images because of the holographic images. But interestingly enough, when I'm doing tarot readings and it's angled down at the table, you don't see it like you see it here, where it's kind of difficult to look at. It looks like you can't quite see the holographic images from that angle for some reason. Here's Capricorn, the devil. And am I learning astrology? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I love this deck. Nevertheless, I have really on-point readings with it. And I've actually used it in readings for clients and for myself. But most of the readings, I will admit, have been for myself. But I love it so much. I love what she did. She took some images and she set it to her own, in her own filters. This is Aquarius, the star. It's my air sign, or my air sign. This is my sun sign. It is an air sign. I am tired. It is late tonight, and then I'm doing this on a Saturday night, but I was like, I am going to start my 2019 top videos come hell or high water. And so that's what I'm doing, even though I'm tired and a little hungry. It is late too, and I probably shouldn't even eat anything, but I'll probably take a little snack after I'm done with this video, so I don't go to sleep on an entirely empty stomach. All right, so next up, number 10. The Modern Witches Tarot, and I should say that these decks are in no particular order. I just happen to love all of them. And we have here the Modern Witches Tarot. I just did a giveaway for this deck. I'm getting ready to mail it to the winner, and I'm excited about that. And yeah, I really, really like it. I got this deck. Where did I buy it? On Amazon? I don't know. Can't remember. I believe you can get it on Amazon. But yeah, it surprised me. At first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get it. We'll see. And then I was like, no, I think you should go ahead and get it. So here's the guidebook. Super cool. And sturdy box. And those are backs. It's a thick, chunky, glossy deck, but it's still relatively easy to shuffle. And in the short amount of time that I've had this deck, I've used it quite a bit for readings for myself and for others. Jumpers work easily for those who work exclusively with jumpers like me. And you know, some people want to know, can you use this reading or in readings for others? Can you use this reading or use this in readings for yourself? And I've used them in both cases. Here's the world. I'm not going to show too many of them because I feel like you can just check out the unboxing that I did. And you can really be able to see all these cool, beautiful cards. I really enjoy this deck so much. Very Rider-Waite-Smith-esque. But I think those who appreciate Rider-Waite-Smith like I do, you'll say this is a nice modern take. It may even have you thinking about, you know, foregoing the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck for this one because it is, you know, it's in the style of, with the border and the way it's written down here. Feels very Rider-Waite-Smith anyway. So, there's that. Let me put this back. We're almost done, guys. We are almost there. Let's see. What else do we have? All right. Number 11. Oh, I'm excited about number 11. So number 11 is the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcanas First Edition Tarot deck. Another high quality, beautifully produced independent deck. Matte box, but then if you look carefully, you'll see that the black part here is glossy. So amazing. Such impeccable craftsmanship with this deck. It's illustrated and written by Andrea Furtick, and she just came out with a Lenormand deck that you can also double and use it as an oracle deck. So I put it on my wish list in hopes that one of my loved ones will get it for me for Christmas or for my birthday. Here's the guidebook, also matte and just so decadent. Love the guidebook. And it's got matte gold gilding. And then this part is matte. And then the backs are, what do you call it? Glossy. Can't even think. Just temperate. It's a fully melanated deck, meaning that it is, you know, with full-on brown and black skin. And I'm here for it. I'm very much here for it. And I love this deck. I've actually used it for some client readings and most of the time for myself. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Lenormand or what the Oracle deck will do and how it will interact with the tarot. So, we shall see. It's just amazing quality for this deck. So, there's that. Okay, we're winding on down. So the next one we have is number 12, the Moonchild Tarot. I got this in 2018, I believe, is when it finally dropped. But we have been waiting, right, for years for this deck. And oh, look at the inside. Gorgeous. I had to talk about this deck with you guys for this video because here's the guidebook, super chunky. Because I use this deck primarily for readings for my husband and in his creative pursuits. And I'd be like, I'm going to do a reading for you. I've just started doing that for him. He'll like, okay. And I did readings for him, and they were super spot on. And he found the messages where he just resonated with the messages, and the events that were portrayed in the cards came true. So it's a win. It's a winner for me for that alone, because it's a deck that I'm able to bond with my husband with. And it surprised me because I thought it was like kind of not a feminine deck, but one with the color palette kind of lends itself to feeling a little feminine. But when I was doing the reading for him, I didn't get that vibe at all. That it's super ultra feminine and only women could appreciate it or love it. The reading that we did this year with it was just spot on. And I just love the images. I feel like I can get lost in these gorgeous images. It's beautiful quality. Thick cardstock, probably right up there with, does it say 400 GSM? I don't know if it says. It's the inside of the box on this side. Matte, sturdy box, high quality. High quality. So, yeah, love this deck. Because my husband and I have the best time with it. Alright, so we are at that point, guys, for number 13. Number 13. Let's see. Alright, where is number 13? Here it is. New Era Elements Tarot by Eleanor F. Piper, PhD. This is also a mass market produced deck, U.S. Games. I use this also for my Rebel Soul readings, and it is Thoth base, although it also, you can, if you're Rider Waite Smith, if that's been your school, if you will, you'll be fine with this one. I think. I adore it. Here's the guidebook. And like I mentioned, it's U.S. Games, but it's super handy. Like, the size of it is so right up my alley. I like a smaller tarot deck, so it's easier to shuffle. Great quality. Yeah, I love the readings that I do with this deck. It's, again, all the decks that I'm talking about or talked about are spot on. I wouldn't be bringing them up if I had issues with them. Here's Ten of Air, Destruction. It is a powerful deck. You have to be ready to use such a deck too. Like, it's not for the faint at heart for a number of reasons. There's certain images in it. Oh, there's Two of Water. That are like hard hitting and a little disturbing. Not a little, quite disturbing. And then there's also just some messages that want to be kind of birthed through you. And this deck, it'll scratch some surfaces inside of you, some certain shadow aspects that you didn't know that you were going to want to talk about or even face. And so, or your client may not be ready to face, and here comes these things bubbling up to the surface when you see it. Even looking at the faces of the people in it tells tale. So yeah, I consult this deck quite a bit. It's, again, one of those old friends that will, you may not always hang out with each other, but when you get together, they keep it real with you, and it's a very authentic and real relationship that you got. Here's the backs. So yeah, there you have it. That's it, guys. That is my top 13 2019 tarot decks. The tarot decks that I was using, that I gravitated towards all the time, that I pulled off my shelf, that I had special bonds and connections with. with the decks or with people that I love. And I want to hear from you. What were your top 2019 tarot decks that you use in your collection? What decks do you plan on using in your new year? Let's hear from you in the comments section. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. So much love and many blessings. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.